Welcome back to the Club Call-In Show, brought to you by Sky Bet. We're going to go straight into it with Connor, who's a Stoke City fan.
Hello, Connor.
Hello, boys. How are we?
Yeah, good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thank you. Pleasure to be on.
Oh, mate, you're very kind. Thank you so much for getting in touch.
Yeah, nice one, man. Rory, you probably won't remember, man, when it was the Euros last year in the semi-final in Dortmund. I came up to you because I recognised you from the club and that, because I was going the game, and I was like, I told you I recognised you from Doctor Who in it, but that's because I was nervous to meet you.
Yeah, that's right.
I recognised you from like the kick-off in the club and all that, man.
Yeah, of course, I remember.
You guys' videos as well.
Oh, mate, that's yeah. I remember meeting you, mate. Great to be back in touch.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, thank you so much for getting involved in this as well. What's on your mind?
Yeah. But to be fair, when I submitted the question, I didn't expect to be honest, but all I said was that I think that Jurgen Klopp has had a better managerial career than Arsene Wenger.
Strictly through the lens of the Premier League.
No, not totally. I mean, I suppose you could go Premier League.
Well, total career or Premier League career?
Whole career.
Whole career, I'd agree with him, 100%. 100%.
Who's had a better Premier League career, Booth?
Arsene Wenger came earlier, so he has more of a historical Premier League record. But Jurgen Klopp, I think that Jurgen Klopp side that got 99 points, got 97 points, is better than anything Arsene Wenger ever built, in my honest opinion.
Invincible?
Yeah, I think they would have battered the Invincibles. I'm not even trying to wind up Arsenal fans.
Ooh,
it's the best club side I've ever seen, except for Man City.
So if you were ranking
lifetime. Managers,
then, by this logic, I assume, I'm not asking you to do like your top 5 Premier League managers, but whatever you do think your top 5 are, you're going to put Arsene Wenger below Jurgen Klopp.
And Jose Mourinho, Ferguson, and Pep.
Okay. What do you think, Adam?
I can see where you're coming from if you say whole career, because obviously he was amazing with Dortmund as well. He did great things there, and then obviously at Liverpool he did great things winning the European Cup and the Premier League. But Premier League wise, I still hold what Arsene Wenger achieved at Arsenal ahead of him. He won 3 league titles for one. Invincibles with that as well. A couple of them were doubles. So I think I do hold that in higher regard. But Jurgen Klopp, even if we just look at Premier League and what they did here, he had success in Europe, which Arsenal never.
Connor, what do you think about this as an argument? Arne Slot has come into Liverpool and made winning a league look very easy. Jurgen Klopp made winning a league look very difficult. Do you think that Arne Slot's contribution and brilliance has had a negative or positive impact on what Jurgen Klopp built?
I don't really think it's had any effect, to be honest, because I think Klopp. I know Man City are still there, aren't they? But Klopp had to do it against Man City when they were getting 100 points in that, man. And I think you have to bear that stuff in mind when you think about Klopp, because even if it was just I don't know, if they had 5 points less, Man City, they'd have still had 95 points, and then Liverpool would have won it. So I think you're looking at Klopp. If it wasn't for Pep, you're looking at Liverpool winning 3 or 4 leagues in a row, like what Man City does, to be honest with you. And Klopp built that team from. I looked at some stats earlier. They were 10th when he took over, and they come off the end of that season losing 6-1 to the Mighty Potters.
So, yeah, Gerrard's last game, wasn't it?
That was classic.
Yeah, I was there, man. I was there. They were all fucking crying. So
yeah, well, don't give it a big one. Were you there on the weekend, mate? When the fabulous Sky Blues, Frankie Lampard's Sky Blues, battered you.
Yeah, well.
Yeah.
I actually don't mind Frank, to be fair, mate.
You're a good man. You're a good man.
Yeah,
I do remember seeing you in Dortmund. Did you have a good time over there?
Yeah, mate. That Watkins goal was
top 3 moments of my
footballing life. I always say that I prefer to see Stoke win a trophy or something with England, but I swear I've never had a moment like that.
No, it was unreal, wasn't it?
When Watkins scored that goal, man, it was unreal.
No, it was absolutely unreal.
Yeah.
Do you know what? You've provoked a lot of debate in this studio already, Connor. That's a fantastic contribution to this. We really do appreciate you getting in touch. We'll let you go now, but I think this debate is going to rage on. So thank you so much, mate, and get in touch again. Connor. It's great to speak to you.
All right, lads. Take care.
Cheers. Good luck. Good luck. I think that Arne Slot, on some level, you could say that Jurgen Klopp's legacy is almost improved by what Slot has done. The foundations that were laid by Jurgen Klopp have had an impact, and therefore Slot has won the league this year. But
Jurgen Klopp didn't have to play against this City.
No.
But when I say this City, I mean I know some of
He
the
would've won
players
it
are the
this
same
year.
and the managers the same, but
He would have won it this year,
Yeah.
guaranteed. I mean, I know it's a theoretical thing, but they would have had more points than
No, but
this
you look
Liverpool side.
at what they're doing in Europe as well. You look at the fact that they're in a League Cup final. Like, I do think
They did do that with Klopp though. Multiple quadruple
They
chats,
did.
weren't there? A couple of different seasons.
they did.
you could say though they didn't do it because Klopp's style, which I admire by the way, burnt them out.
Yeah. Whereas
Yeah.
Arne
Or a
Slot's
thin
more
squad.
controlled,
Or a
calmer.
thin squad. You could argue FSG with a relatively thin squad. That Arne Slot's kind of
It's still quite thin though.
Arne Slot is reaping the benefits of the signings that Klopp made. That Klopp side, for whatever you want to say with Mane and Firmino, it's the best side I've ever seen outside of Man City, outside of probably 2008 Manchester United, one of the Jose Mourinho sides. It's top 4 or 5 in the history of the Premier League in terms of an individual, like a side. It was unplayable.
I wouldn't put that Klopp team over Arsenal's team under Wenger.
Really?
The league
I
winners,
think
no.
2 Arsene Wenger teams were better, but the problem is the reason why there's more of a debate here. Whilst I do believe that 2 Arsene Wenger teams were better than Klopp's team, Arsene Wenger also had a decade without a trophy. He also built some teams that weren't even close to that Klopp team. So yeah, Overmars, Bergkamp, and Elka, amazing. Henri, Pires, Ljungberg,
But then
amazing.
you look at the era
but
that-
then he had 10 years of nothing.
You look at the era Wenger came into as well. He changed a lot
Yeah,
about English football.
he did.
Do you know what I mean?
He did.
And whereas Klopp kind of benefited from those changes that had happened already.
Yeah,
it's,
definitely.
It's very interesting. Should we go to our next caller? It's Caleb. Caleb, you are live on the club, sir. Thank you so much for getting in touch.
What's going on, Caleb?
You all right, boys?
Yes, Caleb.
How are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm good. Hopefully, I'll be better than Buvey will be in a minute once I've grilled him.
Yes, that's right, Caleb. Over to you.
You haven't got the fishing rod out.
Go
have you?
on, Caleb. Smash him up. We're with you. Adam and I are with you.
Right, Foden is overrated / overhyped.
Hyped.
That's a Mancunian accent you got there as well, Caleb, isn't it?
Just live outside, live in Bolton,
Right.
so just outside.
And you're not.
Who's he overrated by? Do you mean Man City fans?
You?
Obviously,
I think
someone
he's
like me.
firing shots at
Do you
you,
think
mate. It's you.
do you think the football world overrated him?
I think
Maybe
the
how we viewed him
football-
for England, how he should have been playing for England.
I think it's an amalgamation of everything. Maybe not necessarily the City fans, because I don't necessarily think they overrate him, and you're spoiled with riches over there with all the players that you've got. But the reason why I think he's overrated is, first of all, I just don't think he was the catalyst of the Champions League winning season that you had. Gone back and had a look at it. Post the group stage, not one goal for Phil Foden.
But
Not
to
one
be, to be
goal.
completely fair, I don't think any City fan would have said he was the catalyst. Rodri's always there. Haaland scored so many goals.
Yeah.
Obviously, Ilkay Gundogan on some level was the guy that took us over the line. John Stones stood out as well in the back end of the season. I don't know if anyone ever said Phil Foden, but actually we won the Premier League title last season, got to an FA Cup final. Phil Foden stood out last season. He won the PFA Player of the Year. Do you
Yeah.
think that was unfair?
No, I really don't. So I think apart from last season, which obviously was amazing for Phil Foden, I'm not going to dispute that. I'm not saying he's a terrible footballer. The reason I think more of it came from the Euros. Obviously, there's a whole debate on the left wing. If it's going to be Foden, we're going to have to create that area for him. Does he want to come in, play in the middle, play on the left? Obviously, didn't have a good tournament.
Did Harry
Not
Kane have a
lot
good
of the
tournament?
players did. Yeah, neither did Harry Kane, but I feel like he might fall into the same category of Harry Kane or potentially a Rashford, where maybe you have a great year like Rashford did, not last season, the season before, but then it comes down. Like this season, I know obviously at the start with Pep Roulette, he didn't get a lot of games to start, but since then, especially against Nottingham Forest, it was absolutely terrible.
Yeah, but so were 6 other players, and let's not bring Rashford into. Honestly, it's like chalk
Yeah, I
and
know.
cheese. You talk about Rashford with completely different footballers. He's on loan to Aston Villa for a reason. Like
But-
Phil
but,
Foden
okay,
just
but
won
do you know-
PFA Player of the Year, and he's an absolutely fantastic talent.
Caleb, I think
Never had
that
a
your
season like
question,
Rashford.
though, I think your question, Caleb,
He's
is
not-
actually one that is legitimate and one that needs to be drilled into and answered. Is Phil Foden overhyped? Because over the years, and I could be guilty of it, last year I was so full of praise. I was effusive in the way that I would speak about him. I was saying that he's like one of the best players in the world. I was comparing him to the very best players in the world. Since then, it has been woeful. Since then, you think of the Euros, every single game, it went badly for England. People would ask me how it goes right in the next game, and my answer every single game was Phil Foden. Literally, the first game was Serbia, right? England didn't play well. It was put to me, how do we play well? What's going to be the difference? I go Phil Foden. Then the games in the groups, in the knockouts, Switzerland. What's going to change? I go Phil Foden. Going into the game against Holland in Dortmund, Phil Foden. That's a great example of Caleb being correct and me overrating
Well,
him.
he was a manager that didn't use Cole Palmer for barely any of the tournament, brought him on for 20 minutes at the end. Anthony Gordon had, 20 minutes in the entire tournament. So it's not a level playing field with Southgate. Look, because
But is that an example of me
Declan
overrating
Rice
him?
had a poor tournament.
Is that an example
Harry
of me
Kane had
overrating him, though? Is that an example? Me basically saying Phil Foden is going to change the fortunes of this
No,
country.
you're right, because you're spot on as an England fan going into it based on how good he was for Man City. But all I'm saying is he's not gone into a management situation with Ferguson as the England manager or a great manager. Like, this is Gareth Southgate. He's an absolutely limited
But Pep
manager.
Guardiola is a great manager.
Yeah.
And he's not playing well for Guardiola.
No, but no one is this season. Like, I'm not trying to, it's not a cop out, but Phil Foden's record, I'm never gonna shit on a guy's record after this last 6 years that he's had. It's not one good year. The Rashford thing's crazy.
But when you look at
Foden's
some of the
had
players
6 years.
Foden's been compared to,
They've never had
some
an
of
off
the
year.
greats of English football. I remember seeing him get compared to Lampard, Scholes, Rooney, all these different players.
That's going.
Wayne Rooney right now drags that City team, potentially to the title.
That's true as
But
well.
did
isn't
Rooney
it?
not have an off? Rooney definitely
Rooney had
off
off seasons,
seasons.
but he could drag a team to.
I don't think
something.
Rooney ever, correct me if I'm wrong
not as
here,
bad
but
as
I don't
this.
think Rooney's ever had a season even comparable to this Foden
Rooney's
season.
a bad shot. I've never said
Not
anywhere
you, but
near.
he's
No,
talking about.
I know you're not saying
Caleb's
that.
saying
But
overrated.
you said Paul Gascoigne. I mean, Phil Foden could retire now. He'll have a better club career. Maybe a better. The England thing's different. Got to 2 finals with England, but he's certainly got a better club career than Paul Gascoigne right now.
What do
Easy.
you think then, Caleb? Overall, if you're saying that he's overrated, how highly do you rate him?
Oh, he's a great player. This is why it's really annoying, because you're constantly contradicting yourself. But I just think he should be graded on the same curve of other great players. I do feel like I said at the start of the call, I don't necessarily see it coming from City fans, maybe more of England fans. And to go back to what you kind of said, Rory, that's the same with me in the England squad during the tournament. I was like, Phil Foden's the man. He's got to start. Don't bring Rashford. Don't bring Grealish. He's the man who's going to take us over the line. And he flopped. I agree. Same with what Buvey said. Harry Kane had a terrible tournament, terrible manager. But I just think I hear all this stuff about he's going to be England's greatest midfielder, while Jude Bellingham sat there scoring goals, actually contributing. And going back to what you said, Cole Palmer, I think when it's said and done, I think Cole Palmer will be a greater player than Phil Foden.
Where's Palmer been the last few weeks?
Do you think that Foden's ability to play in a number of positions has hampered him a little bit? Because we almost don't know where his.
I don't want to use that excuse, Adam. I don't want to use that excuse, because I think what Caleb's saying is spot. I don't want to sit here and say he's had a good season. What Rory's saying is spot on. He had a poor tournament for England. I think there are extenuating circumstances, but he has been shying away, and ultimately he still has so much technical brilliance that he has to identify a role and play ultimately in a single position for the next 3 or 4 years and show some consistency. But I think he's fairly rated. I think he's a borderline world class player, and he's a generational talent in Premier League football. I think that's fair to say.
Fair enough. Great call there, Caleb, mate. You've started a bit of drama in the studio, so thanks for that.
I think he's right.
Well, I appreciate that, boys.
Mate,
We'll
it's
take
really
care.
good to
Have a
speak to
day.
you, Caleb. We look forward to speaking to you again. Definitely get in touch. A great call.
Cheers, Caleb.
Thank you, mate. Overall, then, Buvey, cards on the table. Do you believe that Phil Foden will get back to genuine greatness, or do you feel like this could be the start of a decline?
No. He'll go right back to the top next season when Rodri's back, hopefully. Maybe a couple more signings.
No, but the question
in and
right
around
now is Phil Foden overrated?
No, I think he's underrated by football fans.
Rory?
I think I worked out that I massively overrated him because I said that Phil Foden is the answer to England's problems. So, of course, I'm overrating him because he isn't that guy.
If he's the answer, what is the question?
Score more goals. How do England score more goals? And I thought Phil Foden was the answer, and he wasn't.
Well, you'll enjoy this next call. We got Kelman, who's a Chelsea fan, who's called in. Kelman, speak to me.
Hey, boys, can you hear me?
How you doing, Kelman?
Ah, very well. And you guys?
Yeah, very
thanks,
well.
thank you.
Great to speak to you, Kelman. Where are you calling from?
South Africa, eh?
Wow. Really?
Wow.
Just sitting there
Am I
drinking
the first one?
drinking Stellenbosch
Yeah, I
wine,
think you
looking
are.
at Table Mountain, yeah?
Damn, Rory, you know your stuff.
Amazing. I'm very envious. You're a Chelsea fan, Kelman.
Yeah, born and bred.
How you feeling about it?
Good. High spirits. Yeah, obviously the past couple of years have not been great. Ups and downs, but feeling good at the moment.
Hold on a minute.
Yeah, downs and downs.
We've been told you have a certain topic that you want to discuss, but you've just said you're in high spirits. It doesn't match the topic that you've given us to discuss.
He's in high spirits just because he's having a good day, drinking Stellenbosch, looking at Table Mountain. We're about to talk about Chelsea, and he's going to be like devastated. What are you thinking, mate? How are you feeling about the club?
Yeah, look, obviously the a few weeks ago the fans did a bit of a protest about Todd Boehly and Clear Lake, and my stance on the matter is I don't think they're the problem. I think that they're actually doing a very good job at managing and running the club. I think if I think back to the dark days of 2013 to
The
about
dark days
20
of
Dark days.
2030.
The year we won a Europa League and finished third. The dark days.
trophies paper over the cracks there. But there was a major
We won the
decline.
European Cup the year
I
before.
think I think there was a lot of toxicity in the club and hiring and firing of managers quick, signing supposedly big names like Lukaku and Morata and Kepa, and trying to fill with big names just kind of threw us into turmoil, which led to a transfer ban, and the list goes on. And I feel like Clearlake came in, brought stability to the club, invested in the youth, and that's why I believe that.
Can I just ask you a question? But you have to tell me the truth.
Sure.
Are you pranking me? I feel like this is
Am I
part of
being
some
prank-
elaborate. Are you all in on it? Is this some sort of like elaborate
Stability
ploy?
has to be a joke. I
Yeah,
mean,
bringing through the
stability.
youth has to be a joke. He's literally sold off our youth.
Chelsea have been anything but stable in the last 18
Are
months.
you? We've had 6 managers, 7 managers in 3 years.
Is your name Todd Bowley?
In disguise, yeah.
This is a prank. You're both in on it, aren't you?
Okay, so
Don't
so
blame
so
Buvey and me.
do you think we're less stable now than what we were in call it 2013 to 2022?
Yes, of course. We were basically guaranteed to qualify for the Champions League every year for 2 decades, basically. And when you spoke about the dark days of 2013, just to point this out, 2012 we won the European Cup. 2013 we finished third in the league and won the Europa League. We were the only club, we made a history in 2013. We were the only club, still to this day, to concurrently hold the Europa League and the Champions League. That was the dark day. Don't get me wrong, it wasn't a glorious era. It was Rafael Benitez era. I didn't enjoy it. But I don't think we can necessarily refer to it as an unstable period.
And you still had Lampard on the side.
Well, it
You
was a
had
spine
John
of Terry, Lampard, Drogba.
Drogba had left, didn't he? By 2013.
It was a spine.
But
of,
yeah, 4 or 5 of them still
Yeah.
there.
And so stable. You've
So hold on.
the club's stable at the moment.
So are you blaming Maresca for what is going on, or are you happy with
I
everything?
feel like the turmoil right now is from Pochettino and Maresca. I feel like Pochettino's signing made obviously the Chelsea fans salty because it's an ex-Liverpool manager. And then Maresca obviously came in, and I just feel like his
Expert.
football and his system is just frustrating the fans, and they're just blaming the man or the owner. Sorry.
You mean Poch was the ex-Tottenham manager?
Yeah, I think he was confused with Benitez saying that.
Oh,
Yeah.
Benitez.
So let me just get. So overall, you're quite supportive of Clear Lake, the Bowley Egg Barley project. You're happy with the sporting directors. You're happy with the squad that they've assembled.
Did you see when they compared Chelsea to Brighton in that kind of AGM thing?
I believe I missed that.
Okay, because they were speaking about how successful Brighton were at doing what they do and kind of comparing Chelsea to be able to do that. Do you expect the owners of your club to kind of be looking at Brighton as a model when you're a much bigger club?
I think they're taking notes from Brighton because obviously, look, Clear Lake and Todd never done this before, so they're taking notes from other clubs like Brighton, like Man City,
Brentford,
and trying to somewhat replicate it or make it better.
Fulham,
Millwall?
QPR.
Millwall
Can I,
doing well at the
okay,
moment.
are you overall though, just like for cards on the table moment? Just I'll tell you my stance, and then you tell me your honest stance. I hate Clear Lake, and I want them to sell the club immediately. That's where I sit. Where do you sit?
I think they need time. I think within the next 2 to 5 years, you're going to be like, they're the best managers in the Prem. Owners in the Prem. I'm willing to bet a lot of money that you would turn around to this moment and say, I was wrong at that moment.
You got to
I
call
think-
in
I
again
think
when that happens.
Yeah.
If that happens.
100%. I mean, Rory,
5
if you're
years.
a betting
We might
man,
not
I'm
be
willing
here in
to
5 years.
make a bet here that in the next 2 to 5 years.
So what do you think
will be-
happens in the next 2 to 5 years? Do you think that Chelsea can win a league? What do you think can happen?
I think definitely within the next 2 years we'll have some sort of substantial trophy, whether it be the Prem or a European trophy. I think within the next 5 years we will be the most dominant team in England.
Kelman.
Hold on a minute. Hold on a minute.
I mean-
Kelman, because I don't know if you've heard.
They're fifth.
I don't know if you've heard, but in 5 years, Man United are going to have the best team in the country with the best stadium in the country and be the most profitable. So I don't know how it's going to be.
I
both
like
of us.
Kelman's outlook on life. Kelman is very much a glass half full
I've
kind
got
of
to say
guy.
congratulations to Kelman. He's more deluded than Sir Jim Ratcliffe.
I think he works for
It's
Clear Lake.
It's an amazing
I
honour
think
to
he
you,
works for
Kelman.
Clear
There's a
Lake,
chance that he's
But
not.
if you look at the signings and you look at the infrastructure that Clear Lake and Sod are putting in, you know,
So
obviously
what
some of the
signings? Tell me the
signings-
signings that you're happy with.
I mean, we have currently the best midfielder in the Prem,
Who?
Caicedo.
He's
Okay,
up there.
okay, he's
He's
not,
up
he's
there.
not that, but okay.
He's up there.
Definitely, I
Right.
would say
Okay,
he's
so let's
currently the
talk about
best.
signings. Are you happy with Robert Sanchez?
Okay, no.
Okay. Are you happy with Axel Disasi?
I didn't think it was that bad. He's doing pretty well for Villa.
Yeah, he's horrific.
And this is where I come in with my point that Maresca's system is too system based. And
yeah, no, he's a crap manager. I agree with that. But
Yeah,
but in terms
yeah.
of, let's just look at the recruitment. Benoit Badiashile, what do you reckon?
I think he's quality.
No, this is a prank. This is a prank.
I think he's quality.
No,
and I
this
think
is a
with the
joke.
right
He's not quality.
manager,
He's not. I mean, he's
Ashton
terrible.
Kutcher's going to come out.
Yeah,
And
I'm getting, Rio Ferdinand's going to burst out of his cupboard and tell me I've been murked.
He's not going to
Yeah.
take you over the line to win the Premier League, is he? These kind of guys: Sancho, Madueke, Neto, Jackson.
Are you happy
It
with
goes on
Jadon
and on.
Sancho?
I think Jadon Sancho will find his Dortmund form.
Mate, this is just
in
this is a
Dortmont.
happy man.
Yeah, in
do you know
Dortmund.
what?
It's the sunshine.
This is a happy guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a guy. We should
How
all
much
take a
wine
leaf
have
out
you
of
been
Kelman's.
drinking, Kelman?
Yeah, Kelman. What time of day
yeah,
is it
yeah,
there?
correct. We are
wide
an hour
o'clock.
ahead. So it's 5 o'clock.
I need to get
It's
South
only an hour
Africa.
ahead.
Make me a very happy man.
Mate, this is
Seriously.
clearly the happiest man in the world.
Yeah.
So I
It's the
just
sunshine,
want
I'm
to get
telling
one
you.
thing straight
It's
here.
vitamin D.
Rory, you would prefer the way that Roman did business over currently what's happening right now?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a complete neutral, and I don't. Obviously, Roman Abramovich isn't the most trustworthy of characters, but the way he ran Chelsea as a football club was much better than what Todd Bowles is
that
doing
is
right
true.
now.
Kelman, how old are you?
Because like I
He's
can
6.
100% recall like videos upon videos, articles upon articles of even you, Rory, saying that you're fed up with the way that Roman is doing things.
Yeah, but what you can never deny, what nobody can ever deny, is that
I'm not denying
No,
it. I
but-
think from 03 to 2012, phenomenal.
Yeah, but-
like
I mean,
absolute dream
Roman
come true.
Abramovich tried to take Chelsea into the Super League and sack Frank Lampard and Roberto Di Matteo. I'm never going to be okay with those decisions. And I can be very emotional about those sorts of things. But we cannot compare the ownership of Roman Abramovich, whose sheer motivation was to create a winning machine out of Chelsea. It was to demand the very best from the top down. It was to make sure that the culture of Chelsea was a winning entity. We cannot possibly compare that to what's going on at the moment.
Yeah, you've got one of those owners came in and was like, "We're going to topple Manchester United," and one of those owners has come in and said,
We're going to copy Brighton. Mate,
I understand.
Like,
But-
can
but
I just
what,
ask you?
like,
Do you
clearly
remember? Like,
Buvey-
I know that I'm old, but do you remember like the Reebok Stadium 05?
Yes.
Okay, so that's like one of the top 3 moments of your life, right?
Yes.
How can you possibly see what happened at the Reebok as Makelele plays that ball? As we break away from the corner, Good Johnson plays a bad pass to Makelele. Makelele out his feet, left foot, bang! Lampard's off. Round Jaskalainen, it hits the back of the net. We win the first league for 50 years. That happened then. What have you seen in this era now? And that happened, by the way, sooner into Abramovich's era at Chelsea than we are into the Clear Lake era now. Abramovich had already done that by the time where Abramovich did that in his 2nd season. We're about to go into the 4th year of Clear Lake, the 7th manager of Clear Lake.
4th year.
We've done 3 years already, haven't we?
"Fuck, I didn't realise."
Time flies, doesn't it?
When you're not having fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kelman,
So, I mean,
mate,
like,
you're a
if
madman.
Burnley
I
or
rate
Todd
it.
had to- sorry, if Burley or Clear Lake had to come in around that time period with that amount of money, don't you think
They
a
have
similar
done.
amount of
They would have messed
They
up.
have come
Kelman.
in
They
with that
would-
kind of money.
they would have
They
messed
have
it up.
spent that kind of money.
They would have messed it up.
They literally have done.
Yeah, they would have messed it up.
Anyway, Kelman,
Kelman.
I'm going to try and
they wanna
I'm going
say
to try and
Genius,
view life the way that you do. Amazing call,
Look,
Kelman. Kelman, get in touch
I'll
at the
call
end of the
back in
season,
2
right?
years' time and we'll see.
Before the end of the season, you have to call back.
100%.
Promise?
I promise.
It's great to speak
We
to you,
appreciate
Kelman.
you,
The
Kelman.
happiest
Thank
man
you
in the
for
world.
calling.
Well, there we go. I'm in shock. I can't speak. Somebody's going to have to speak.
Let's move on to Aaron, Liverpool fan. How you doing, Aaron?
Lads, how are you?
How are
What's
you, Aaron?
going on, Aaron?
Yeah, not too bad. Thanks for asking.
How you doing? What do you want to talk about today?
Yeah, so my question is Arne Slot tactically the best manager in the Premier League in recent years?
No, Aaron.
Moving on. Thank you for your call,
No, Aaron. What are you doing, Aaron?
Aaron. I'm so
Aaron,
honestly, I'm so
Aaron.
optimistic about. We had Kelman before, lovely guy. He must have been born in fucking 2013. Do you know what I mean? It was serious. And now you've come on, Arne Slot. I'll tell you what his tactical innovation is. He plays the best players in the best positions, and he's lucky there's been no injuries. Seriously, any injury to Van Dijk. This Liverpool side is so good. They're not even going to get 90 points. It's not even a great Liverpool side.
Okay, yeah, no, completely understand where you're coming from. But if you look at it in recent years, look at the turnover of managers at all these clubs, apart from maybe Newcastle, Arsenal, obviously Liverpool and City. All you have to do is look at his ability to like adapt, change playing styles, not just game to game either, but like in game also. Like you seen it when we played City away that time. He went to City, set up in a low block, came away with a 2-0 win. Everybody harps on about Arsenal not having a striker. Liverpool went to the Etihad with no recognised striker and still managed to come away with a 2-0 win. I think Liverpool, if I'm not wrong in saying this, I think they've picked up the most points in the league after falling behind. And I think that just shows the ability to adapt in-game, but also make correct substitutions at the correct time.
Aaron, there's no
Nunes,
doubt. Aaron, do you know what? The point that you're making here is a stellar one. It's a sound one. It makes sense. Is Arne Slot an excellent manager? Yes. Is he the best manager currently plying his trade in the league? This season, yes. Everything that you've said is totally correct and chimes with Arne Slot being seen and recognised and rewarded for being an excellent manager this season. But what you have said is wild. You literally said the best manager ever.
No, recent years. Recent years.
What year? How many
Jack's
years?
done you over with the notes.
So what?
if you
1
look
year?
at it-
Because Pep won it last season. So what? 1 year?
Yeah, but like we're judging. You're gonna judge off Pep, who has been there for how long? 7 years. So like obviously, I'm just speaking about now in this moment of time. Like look at the way he sees the game. Look at the way he speaks about in his press conferences, his interviews. He comes across so tactfully astute. Like look at the way he manages. Like look at Nunes, for example. Many times have Liverpool been let down by Nunes?
I think you've got a point,
Most
Aaron.
other managers.
But you know what? Like, you know when managers speak about football? Like, I watched Monday Night Football the other day. Russell Martin sounded amazing. Like, I think any manager at any level, when they speak about football, they're going to sound amazing.
But what Arne Slot's
It doesn't
done this
mean that
season
they-
is it is
No,
special.
that's not,
I don't think
I'm not
he's-
taking away anything
No,
what he's
but-
done, but what I'm trying to say is that doesn't mean he's the best tactical manager
No.
in the last
He has
couple
been
of
this
years
season.
ever,
He has
whatever.
been this season. What he did against PSG was very, very special. It was actually
What?
Jose Mourinho-esque.
No,
the PSG
bollocks.
result. When I watched
That wasn't
it,
a plan
that was a plan.
That
It
was not
sitting
planned.
deep and hitting on the counter.
to have concede
And
30
he made
shots.
the substitution. He put Darwin Núñez on at the right time, and Harvey Elliott came on at the right time. Endo, his use
That
of
wasn't
Endo.
a plan, bro.
It was of course, it's a plan. If you would've-
Mourinho plans to sit the boss in 0-0, 1-0 will score. That was not a plan.
That
to
was
concede 20 odd
Jose
shots.
Mourinho-esque. That was a fan.
It
That
wasn't.
was one of the best performances
wasn't.
Liverpool have had in European football
they planned
for
it,
7 or
yes,
8 years.
but they didn't
They
plan
did.
that.
They played that way
They didn't
deliberately.
plan that.
They played
It's
deep.
PSG, bro.
Nah.
PSG
they
are
came out in the
useless.
press afterwards and said that was the goal to sit 20 yards deep. Away
PSG
to
are like a
Paris,
three-point
and they've
plug
nicked
in
it.
Europe.
They've nicked it
Booth,
1-0.
Booth.
That
It
was
was
a
a great
exceptional.
result.
It was exceptional
It
performance.
was a great result.
It was
and,
very
and they
lucky.
deserve a lot of credit. But mate, they could have lost 5-0.
Yeah, but
Also, I'm sick of this as well. Whatever Liverpool do, yeah. Oh, Trent, best right back ever. Van Dijk, best centre back ever. Fucking
Salah.
Salah's the greatest Premier League
Klopp,
player we've ever
until
seen.
it weren't Klopp
Klopp's
anymore.
the greatest manager
If
ever.
you
Now
beat,
Arne Slot.
Luis Enrique, this
Fucking
PSG
hell.
side 1-0 away
But
from
one
home
league
with
title in
2
20
subs.
odd
Come on,
years.
that is a very special.
It's
it is a
a
special result.
it's a great result.
They've had a lot of
And it
shots
was
on target.
It was no, they didn't.
No, PSG had a lot of shots on
Yeah.
target against Alisson. You're right about that. You're allowed to rely on your keeper to pull out a great game every now and then.
That wasn't a
It
plan.
was
It was
classic
an
Liverpool
amazing
performance
result.
in Europe.
It's the kind of result that makes them my favourites to win the European Cup. It's pulling a result out of the bag like that. But mate, they were terrible.
It wasn't a plan.
It weren't.
It was a plan to sit deep.
Mate,
it absolutely was.
Defending
It was.
well, which
they
is
came
what
out, they came
Mourinho
out said
what
so. They
Mourinho
said
used
so.
to do was defend well.
Yeah.
And that's
didn't
the plan.
they didn't
They
defend
wouldn't
well.
concede 20 shots. They didn't defend well because they
didn't defend
conceded
well.
so
Mate,
many
that
shots.
snatch and grab
Dembele,
like that, I thought
Dembele,
it-
Kvaratskhelia was unbelievable.
Didn't score.
He didn't
They
score
didn't.
because the
We
keeper
can't
had the
talk
game
about
of his
ifs, buts,
life.
and maybes. Liverpool have beaten Paris 1-0.
No, it's a great result.
Jamie Carragher came out and said it's a very, very special result, similar to the Napoli
No, but
result.
there's a
under
difference
Jurgen
between
Klopp.
result. Like, it's a great result, I
Yeah,
agree.
yeah.
But it's not a performance that signifies that they're brilliant. It's a
It's not a
performance that
vintage Liverpool
signifies they're very
performance.
lucky
I'm
in
saying
that
that
game.
Arne Slot is adapting that in games where you can just sit back, hit them on the counter attack, or you can go and dominate the ball. He's a very dynamic manager. So what Aaron's saying, I think, is spot on some level. But saying he's the most tactical manager ever, it's crazy in that regard. But I thought the PSG result was very, very good.
No, but
Very
you keep
lucky.
saying the result is good. Of course, they won away from
and
home.
the
The
performance to
result
get
was
the
good.
result was very good. Yes,
No,
it was.
that's
It was.
just
They kept a clean
factually
sheet.
wrong.
Well, how was it factually wrong if they got a clean sheet in Paris?
You're talking about the result again, aren't you?
Yeah. So what do you want me to talk about?
The performance.
The result
Fairyland.
was
Let's talk
great,
about Fairyland.
but
then.
how they got the result
No, but you
wasn't
keep
planned.
going. It's a great
Yeah,
result.
they gave a lot of space to
It was
PSG and they had a lot of shots
It was
on
possibly
target.
their worst performance of the season, and you're using it
No.
as it really was.
So it was worse than Plymouth Argyle.
It was
a great result.
It was one of their
It
worst
wasn't a great
performances of the
I don't
season.
even know what we're arguing about. It wasn't vintage Liverpool. What I'm saying is Arne Slot made a decision to sit his side 20 yards deeper, hit them on the counter attack, and that actually happened.
But
They
you
beat
can't.
them
But
1-0.
you're acting like it was some sort of like masterclass.
It wasn't.
The reason that they got away with it was because Alisson had the game of his life. Like Dembele was on fire.
You're entitled to have your keeper have a good performance, aren't you?
Yeah, but
Make
it was a
one or two saves.
It was a
They-
performance beyond anything that he's
He's
ever
made
done
two
before.
substitutions.
It was
He's gone at the
literally
other end and nicked
by
it 1-0.
Alisson's own admission, it was the best game he's ever had.
Yeah, you're allowed to have. If I'm the manager, I'm allowed Alisson to have a good game.
Yes, of course, but you can't
Yeah.
possibly plan for him to have the game of his life.
I don't know why not. I don't
maybe
get it.
you can.
I don't get it.
Maybe you can. Maybe fluke. Look, the result, no doubt, sensational. But I don't see how we can use the performance at Paris Saint-Germain away to suggest that it was like a tactical, brilliant masterclass from Slot, because I really don't think it was.
No.
But you've caused some trouble, Aaron.
I agree with Buvey in a sense there, in fairness. Like, I think people disrespect these European ties away from home, especially like look at Scholes and Neville. They spoke multiple times about how Ferguson set up in Europe, boring, hard to beat. And like, of course, Liverpool were dominated by PSG, but at the end of the day, they came away with the result. Like, going away to PSG is never going to be easy. Massive
Look,
European tie.
but me and Rory aren't
hostile
saying
atmosphere.
Yeah, the result
Me
was
and Rory
excellent.
aren't saying the result isn't a bad result. What we're saying is, and Fergie did that away from home in Europe. But
So did
what I'm
Mourinho,
saying
but
is
nobody would get a
the
shot on
plan
goal
from Arne
either.
Slot wasn't like a defensive masterclass in that they kept PSG out and then nicked it 1-0. They got battered. We're lucky PSG didn't score and then nicked it 1-0. Still a great result, but it weren't planned. It weren't a masterclass.
Agreed. But you've caused loads of drama, Aaron, and now you're going to swan off, and we're going to have to deal with the ramifications.
Nice one, Aaron.
Thanks, Brad.
Thank you
Pleasure.
so
Cheers,
much,
mate.
Aaron. Caused loads of drama, didn't he?
Right. This is going to cause drama.
It's not lucky if Alisson has a good performance. It's Liverpool lucky if they miss 3 penalties and they miss an
Mate,
open
do
net.
you know
and,
what?
Alisson, what you're saying is spot on. I'm not trying to say he was a Mourinho-esque
Mate.
performance like 10 out of 10, but all I'm saying is Arne Slot, he just realises when his players are a little bit fatigued, they're fighting on multiple fronts, he sat aside a little bit deeper, and they did ride their luck a little bit.
I think it's amazing
and they hit them
that
on the
they won.
counter.
I think it's amazing that they won, and I think it makes them favourites for both the league, everything. Right? It's a kind of result that is symptomatic of winning, just being winners.
Yeah,
Winners win.
exactly,
Winners
exactly,
find. It's all that. But part of the reason it was such a good result is because they could legitimately have lost 5-0 and they won 1-0. What they didn't do is keep Paris Saint-Germain at bay, defend for their lives, concede no shots, and then nick it. They
But
could
you're
have
always gonna
legitimately
concede
been
shots.
4-0
Inter
down.
Milan versus Barcelona, Jose Mourinho. Iniesta had about 20 shots from
Yeah,
outside
but
the
nobody
box.
would ever suggest
From
that.
outside the
No-
box.
Messi missed a penalty and all
They
sorts.
weren't cutting through him like a knife through butter and creating chances.
Like that was Dembele was the best player on a pitch by a mile. And it's not often you say that.
Well, Alisson.
Yeah, okay. But in a Paris Saint-Germain match.
Yeah, of course.
Like
Yeah.
they were getting through, they were missing
I don't even like
chances.
Arne Slot that much. I don't know why I'm defending it. I just think it's a very,
No,
it's a very
I'm
mature
not
performance.
criticising Arne
Very
Slot, by the
mature
way.
performance.
I'm not criticising Arne Slot. What I'm saying is it's not a defensive masterclass. It was a great result with a little bit of luck.
And they made it
All
through
the great
the night.
managers have a bit,
I've loved that segment. It really is my favourite part of the week. Thank you so much to everybody who's got in touch. And make sure next week, if you want to get in touch, you click the link to the Discord in the comment section below and you can be on the show next week, driving Buvey mad. We now move on to our voice note section. People get very gobby on these voice notes. Have you noticed that?
Yep, 100%.
Let's hear what people have to say
'Cause
today.
they
Let's
can
go into our
practice on
first
that,
one now.
Hey boys, I'm Tom, and I know it's Cheltenham week this week, so I just wondered which current footballer you think would make the best jockey and why.
I thought he was going to
Love
say
the
make the
show.
best
Have a
horse.
good one.
The best jockey. Who's the
Paul Dickoff.
shortest footballer?
Little shorty.
Shorty swim.
Juan
away.
Mata.
Shortest footballer. No, playing right
Juan Mata.
now. He's
One matter.
in the Premier League.
Dennis Wise.
Dennis Wise.
Yeah, he was short, wasn't
All right, mate. Who do you think you are? Say something about him again.
he? He was a short guy, wasn't he? Very short.
Who's the best jockey, Premier League footballer jockey now? Right, go. You have to say someone, okay? I'm going to come to each of you in 3, 2, 1. Buvey, best jockey.
Martin Odegaard.
3, that's mental. Okay. 3, 2, 1. Adam, go.
Paul Dickoff. He just looks
He
like
break
one,
his back.
doesn't
He's 60
he?
years
He
old.
looks like one, though. He looks like a jockey.
He is very small.
And that in his face. He's got the face of a jockey.
There we
100%.
go. There we go. Thank you very much. Let's move on to our next voice note.
Hey gents, I'm Dan. I'm a Man United fan,
Rhymes.
and I wanted to ask you what you thought of Gary Neville's interview with Jim Radcliffe recently.
Adam, I think this is one for you, really.
First of all, it was just refreshing to hear an owner or someone part of the ownership team at Manchester United speak, because in 20 odd years we've never heard anyone speak directly to the fans. I think he dodged some of the questions by saying they were club decisions rather than my own decision. Now I know someone in his position isn't going to be across the minute detail of decisions that are made, but for things like ticket pricing and things like that, if you're going to be under the scrutiny and receive the criticism, which he mentioned a lot, then you need to be on top of that if decisions are being made in your name. So I wasn't pleased with some of the answers that he made, but it was refreshing to hear someone from the ownership speak out about their plans for the club. And he clearly has passions and hopes to make Manchester United a great club again. And it was also refreshing to hear Gary Neville push him on the Glazers and criticise the Glazers, because I thought with Gary Neville's position on this board who are building the stadium and all this kind of stuff, I didn't think he'd do that, but he went for them. And it was good to hear that. Now, Ratcliffe's never going to lay into the Glazers. He's going to have to defend them because they're his business partners. But he did allude to the fact that they've made a lot of bad mistakes. So overall, it was interesting and refreshing to hear one of the owners speak. We don't get to hear it a lot.
No, there's I thought the opposite, to be honest. I thought it was a little bit distasteful. Multiple moments, obviously talking about former players that Gary Neville brought up from the 70s, losing their budget for kind of club activities. He talked with the BBC about the women's side and the money they make, and sort of this implication they don't matter maybe as much as maybe they should. There's a few moments I thought really distasteful. And then actually the timing of the interview coming out midway through the season, calling out players midway through the season, I thought was actually embarrassing, the whole thing.
Yeah, very interesting anyway. Right, let's move on to the next voice note.
How's it going, lads? Big fan of the club. Been watching for a long time. Man United fan here. Just quick. I have a quick question because I was having an argument with my dad about this. Who gets in to a on their day 11? Me and my dad were making an on their day all time 11, and for some reason he went and said Paul Pogba gets in to an all time on their day 11. I'm not sure what the answer is, to be honest, but I know it's not Paul Pogba that gets in an all time on their day 11. So I'd like to see you guys.
It might be.
I think his dad's right.
And
Might be.
I think his dad's right.
Think
Wait for it to
and
finish.
who gets in.
I think his dad's right.
I don't think he's massively wrong. On their day means if they're on it, if it's happening for them. We're not talking about consistency here. We're talking about ability, potential, at their very best on one particular day.
Paul Pogba was one of the most talented midfielders I've ever seen.
I agree.
Strength, agility,
Mate,
skills,
that ball,
passing,
that cross-field
shots,
pinpoint.
goals, the kind of goals he could score. You look at him, forget Man United as well. You look at his importance to that great Juventus team. Look at his importance to the French World Cup winning team. I think his dad's spot on.
Yeah, there are certain players that if the consistency was the issue, basically.
It'd be good to speak about on their day 11 once.
We could use this as a clip one day. To the kind gentleman who just sent in that voice note, You've just produced a channel. We're actually going to do an on their day 11 video off the back of that, and we will discuss whether Paul Pogba makes
Ravel
it.
Morrison's one of them.
No.
It's different with Rivaldo because he didn't actually.
We never saw
Kind
it
of
on his
break out
day.
into
What
that.
day?
There
What
was
day?
no day.
What day are you
No, there
basing
is
it
no
on?
day.
Yeah.
The day when he scored that great goal for West Ham at Tottenham.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's good. Right, let's move on to the next one.
Hey guys, hope you're doing all right. My name is Sevak. I support Arsenal, but my question isn't really related to Arsenal. I wanted to ask about Alex Ferguson. Obviously he's one of the best managers the sport has ever seen, at least top 2. But I was thinking, obviously, management today is much more coaching based than it was in the past. My question is, do you think Fergie would be the same manager that he was back in the day if he was to manage now? Given the fact that management right now is, I think, very, very different to how it was during his day.
But it doesn't have to be, does it? This is the interesting thing. You don't have to, now people go, well, managers have to be very different now. It has to be like this one particular way of playing football. You have to retain possession. Carlo Ancelotti is an antidote to that. He proves that you don't. Nuno Espirito Santo is actually a bit of an antidote to it. He proves that you don't. So there does seem to be a lot of people conform to the Guardiola model, and you have to manage in that very, very specific way. But I don't think Sir Alex Ferguson would dance to the tune that was being played by Pep Guardiola at all.
Also, if you look at Sir Alex Ferguson, his record in the Premier League, Arsene Wenger comes along, people are talking about how tactically great he is. He overcomes that. He had the Mourinho challenge. He had all these different challenges, Rafa Benitez, all these great coaches that people talk about. Sir Alex Ferguson went head-to-head with them and won the league against most of them. He was also very clever in that he would adapt. He'd adapt his teams. He'd adapt his coaches. He'd delegate to people and listen to what other people have to offer and change his teams accordingly. I think Sir Alex Ferguson would have been absolutely fine, to be totally honest. And one of the things he was ahead of his time in is that when you look at clubs nowadays and they have all these different appointments to handle scouting and staff and this guy and a director of football and a manager and a coach and this, Fergie was all of them in one. He was literally all of them.
Do you think he'd be
in
winning
one.
the league as often with the challenge of Guardiola, the challenge of Klopp?
Maybe not as often, but he'd still win the league.
What about peak Guardiola, peak Ferguson, peak Klopp, all competing in the same season? Who wins the league? That's a great question.
It's Guardiola, isn't it?
I think it'd be shared amongst
Best
Fergie
Prem
and
side of all
Guardiola.
time, 100 points. Fergie never got 100 points.
Best Fergie team and Fergie on his best day. Best Guardiola team and Guardiola on his best day. Best Klopp team and Klopp on his best day. Best Chelsea team and Mourinho on his best day. Who wins the league?
It's Guardiola, I think. I'm not
No,
being
but I think
biased.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Do you know, I thought you were going to say Mourinho. I thought that you might have.
Maybe
I
it's a
think once you add that
one-off
into the
cup game.
mix, and you got Mourinho with the mind games and Fergie with the mind games and that, it'd be horrendous.
Because
position for Pep to be in.
Guardiola, not one criticism, there are other criticisms, of course, but Guardiola, immense. But he is a bit emotional. Like, I think you could get under
things.
you could get under his skin.
100%.
You could get under his skin, couldn't you?
Yeah.
And I think that Fergie, you look at what he did to Keegan, Mourinho, you look at what he did to basically everyone. Look at what he did to it's a great question. We'll have to have a think about that.
Thank you to Sky Bet. As always, thank you to you guys for calling into the show and getting involved. Remember, click the link in the description below to join the Discord and get involved. Thank you for watching. See you in a bit.